You are listening to the Motherhood Unstressed podcast. I'm your host, Liz Carlisle. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so glad that you're here and that you decided to press play and join this community of women all over the world who are looking to not only up-level their lives, but also connect. And that is really, I think, the mission behind Motherhood Unstressed. It's about learning and growing and getting better, but it's also about connecting to other women out there who are going through the same thing. So when you tune in, when you listen to these interviews and then share it and tag us at Motherhood Unstressed, it starts to get that feedback. You know, you see other women who are listening and going through the same thing, and you're like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. And it's uplifting in every sense of the word. And my guest this week is absolutely in alignment with that ethos, with that mission. You probably know her from her work on the film Call Me by Your Name with Timothée Chalamet. She's a film producer, but she's also a best-selling author, and her last book, How to Be Parisian, blew up on the charts. It was a New York Times bestseller for weeks and weeks, and her new book, Older But Better But Older, is doing the same thing. And this is a book that dives into the pros and cons of aging for the modern woman. And this episode, this conversation, is about loving yourself where you are, accepting the inevitability of aging, but also, and most importantly, about not allowing age to be an excuse. Life is meant to be lived no matter what your age is. And so to allow aging to be an excuse to not do what you want to do is just a huge fallacy. And so I'm so glad that Sophie is sharing that message from the book, from her own life, and really up-leveling, I think, all of us in the process. So if you love this episode, please share it with at least one friend who might be going through an existential crisis with aging or not. And tag us at Motherhood Unstressed on Instagram, and I'll, of course, share it back out. I hope you love this episode with Sophie Mas. This episode is brought to you by Public Goods, the one-stop shop for affordable, sustainable, healthy household products, from home and personal care to premium pantry staples, all in one place. Rather than buying from a bunch of single product brands, Public Good members can buy all of their premium essentials in one place with one beautiful, streamlined aesthetic. Public Goods searches the globe to find clean, healthy, eco-friendly, and innovative products like sulfate-free shampoo, hand sanitizer, and tree-free paper products. And I really enjoyed the shampoo bar. I've never used a bar for shampoo, and it actually left my hair feeling really silky soft, light, and I didn't have to wash it as much, which was a big surprise and something I really appreciated as a busy mom. I also really like the hand sanitizer. I mean, with everything going on, who wouldn't appreciate that in a really attractive, minimalistic bottle? And we've worked out an exclusive deal just for Motherhood Unstressed podcast listeners. You receive $15 off your first Public Goods order with no minimum purchase. That's right, they are so confident that you will absolutely love their products and come back again and again that they are giving you $15 to spend on your first purchase. You have nothing to lose. Just go to publicgoods.com/unstressed or use code unstressed at checkout. That is publicgoods.com/unstressed to receive your $15 off your first order. This episode is brought to you by the Homeschool Buyers Co-op. And what is that exactly? Well, it's the world's largest buyers club for homeschooling families. Founded in 2005, they're a family-owned and operated business dedicated to providing top-quality curriculum at the lowest price possible. And the best news yet, it's completely free to join, but if you use my referral code MOTHERHOOD, you automatically get 5,000 points, which translates to cash to buy anything that you would like on the website. And basically, school districts get discounts, they have buying power, but rarely do homeschooling families have that kind of clout. And so by joining a co-op, you automatically get entered into that. You are part of that community. Their website for you is homeschoolbuyersco-op.org. Again, use my referral code, check it out. You know, as someone who struggled with doing virtual learning last spring due to COVID, I have definitely been checking out some other options. And yes, that includes homeschooling. And so being a part of a co-op where you actually have buying power is essential if that's the route you want to go. Well, hello, Sophie. Welcome to the show. I am so glad that you're here. I had to have you on the show after reading your amazing book, Older But Better But Older. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And, I think my audience knows this, but they might not. I studied abroad in France. I've always been obsessed with French language and culture and just the effortless, I don't know, effortless mystery and beauty that French women seem to embody naturally. I don't know how that's possible. So diving right in, talk to us about this new book that you have on aging. How did it come to be?
It formed the same way the first one had started. Just real life conversations with friends. It was the same team from How to Be Parisian. It's friends. We are godmothers of our friends' children. We exchange the ideas and tips on how to be happy and how to maneuver the challenges of professional life and personal life. And I can't really remember how it started, but probably, just talking about wrinkles or talking about how suddenly we said it in the book, just how suddenly you go to the dermatologist and then you just go to check a mole and then they ask you where you want the Botox and you've never asked for Botox. And just these little tiny things that start changing as you are in your 30s or, can happen later for the lucky ones. But it's just these tiny things. And I was sharing a few anecdotes with Caroline de Maigret and others with Anne Berest. And it was just like, oh, it happened to me, or, oh, how it's like, oh, this dermatologist, like, who is this guy? I would never go to see him. So we started compiling a bit of the things that had happened to us and how we felt different, how maybe people were looking at us differently when we felt we were still the same. And so just very, very organically, just like How to Be Parisian, it was, oh, maybe we should write about it. Maybe we should, try to understand what has changed and why we've changed maybe when we didn't feel we had changed so much. So this was kind of an ongoing conversations of just, talking about what it means to get older.
Yeah. And I think that that's so spot on because as you say in the book, it's such a gradual process. We're talking years of little tiny changes. And so then when you're hit with something like a comment by a dermatologist, you're kind of like, well, where did that come from? But it's been building. And I think, at least in America, women don't really have these types of conversations. We might complain about this or that, but we don't have that collaborative spirit. Is that something that you think is uniquely French?
I didn't know that about America because I have a lot of American friends and I feel like we're talking a lot about these things as well. What we realized is that there wasn't any books or we hadn't heard about this. And we felt like as much as, the feedback on How to Be Parisian was, oh, sometimes you make me feel better, or reading this text in your book made me feel like, oh, I wasn't perfect, but it was okay. And that was the concept on How to Be Parisian. It was just like, there is no perfect woman and you should embrace who you are with, what you have. And I think that was also the kind of similar direction for this book was, okay, maybe we can, because we were helping each other with Caroline. We were like, oh, thank you for telling me this because that makes me feel better actually. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, maybe we should write more about it because maybe we can help other to feel a little better about, this kind of pillow mark that doesn't go away, or the gray hair, or what happens when suddenly people don't see you as much as they used to in a party. You would enter a party and you could feel like people were watching you, and then suddenly it's not the same vibe. So I think, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And reading that, like, it's so spot on, like these little nuances. It's like, yes, they're hitting on something that every single woman has experienced, especially the older she gets. I mean, even when you're in your 20s, you don't get that same attention that you might get when you're, 17 or 18
Absolutely.
or 16. Was that really, when you were writing it, did you realize that this is going to be calling out what women have been experiencing for eons?
We didn't know, but as we felt it amongst our inner circle, we could see that it was talking to people. And when we spoke to our publisher, who was the same publisher as before, they were like, yeah, it really speaks to me. Mm-hmm. What is really interesting that we didn't know at first as we were writing, it was kind of a therapy again of like, oh, maybe it will also help us feel a lot better about what is going on, is that we realized that until you haven't reached that moment, you don't understand. You feel like, oh, the others, it's happening to others, but it won't happen to me. You're like, oh, I've seen, my friends age a little bit, but it doesn't concern me. And suddenly it's like everything is shifting and you're not prepared at all. And that's really what we realized, because maybe on Monday, this person, you will, hand them the book and they will really like, I'm not part of this people, and then on Tuesday something will change suddenly and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. And that was really, really interesting, because you could instantly feel who was part of the circle and who wasn't. And it's really as gradual as it can be. Suddenly when it shifts, you get it.
Mm-hmm. I feel that way about becoming a mother too. It's like,
absolutely. I've been thinking about it a lot. It's just like you're so much more. I mean, you probably know more about it than me, but it's just like how you're kinder to your friends that just had a baby and don't respond to your text, how you understand a lot of the up and downs of hormones, of everything. And you're like, oh, I get it now. And it's exactly the same.
Yeah. And I think what you're doing really is kind of it's a work of feminism, really, because it's talking about something that most women have kept quiet, that you don't want to talk about. You don't want to show any kind of weakness, certainly about feeling bad about your looks or anything like that, because society, wants to promote just love yourself as you are. You're fine. You're good at any age, at any weight, whatever it may be. And then you're like, no, like we care about this. Like there's whole industries dedicated to lingerie and face cream and all of that because we feel this way. What's your advice on how to balance that feeling good about yourself, loving who you are versus, changing some things, maybe getting surgery, maybe doing whatever to really feel your best?
Absolutely. We try to think about that. I think what the first realization is, since you're going to change and there's nothing you can do about it, even surgery, there's not yet, there hasn't been the perfect surgery of, and also I think it's good to look your age and to have your face be a witness of what you've been through and also who you are. The first, realization was, there's nothing you can do and you're going to lose no matter what if you try to be against it. So how can you embrace the fact that you're going to change? That's one thing. Of course, surgery can help, but it's also, don't put all your eggs in the basket of the look. If everything is going to be about your look, maybe at some point the others are going to be looking better than you because they're younger and you used to be that person, but now you've reached another step in your life. So I think that's absolutely what we wanted to talk about with Caroline is, okay, you care about your look, and we gave some tips about how, about style, about makeup, about, a lot of things. But I think what is the most important is what is in your head. And for us, and I don't think it's general, but we're just talking about us and how we feel. I think curiosity, being in movement, hanging out with people who are not necessarily your age, older, younger, being active, it's something that for us is really, really important. And it's something that we kind of summarized as age should never be an excuse for anything. So if you want to start a new life, if you want to start a job, it's not because you're 35, 50 that you cannot do it. The things that make you feel alive, or suddenly you have a new hobby, all these kind of things will probably, at least for us, will probably be better than surgery eventually, because happiness and being alive and having friends and caring for people, and I don't know, traveling if that's what you like, or going to the library, or being in the sun, whatever works, as much as you feel like you're happy, I guess. That being said, the balance is, of course, you'd rather erase the wrinkles, you'd rather erase the skin, or that is sagging. I don't know the right terms in English, but yes, you have some solution. And solutions is knowing yourself, knowing what suits you. The things that suited you when you were 20 probably don't suit you anymore. The hair, the haircut, the clothes. So that takes a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
self-knowledge, trying things out. So we listed them with Caroline in the book, about how probably we take more risks when it comes to clothes. We used to be like, real Parisian, kind of uniform in black or boyish, and we understand now as we're getting older why sometimes, Catherine Deneuve or other icons we had were daring. And as much as we didn't want to take many risks when we were younger, we're kind of understanding it. So for instance, Caroline had said, like, wear a sweater or a shirt maybe 2 sizes bigger than what you would normally have. It's kind of having a different structure in the clothes, like maybe a really thin trousers, and then a big blouse, or colors. Try out the colors that probably you wouldn't have tried before. So this is something that we try to list, to maybe, so that can maybe be advice or suggestions for people. Again, everybody's different. Also, we talked about how our bodies changed, and how you need to emphasize what makes you feel good. If you like your breast, or if you like your legs, how it's easy actually to, if you feel like you're a little tired, just put some colors somewhere else, and then you look good. Because if a bag or shoes, they will somehow lighten you, put some light on you.
And now, quick break with a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Smart for Life. The Smart for Life program is a healthy way for quick and safe weight loss. By following the program correctly, you can burn 3,500 calories, or 1 pound, every 2 days. It was created by Dr. Sasson Mulavi, who's a bariatric physician with over 20 years of experience. The Smart for Life diet can help you lose weight the healthy and sustainable way. And so what happens on this diet? Well, you get to eat cookies, but they're not just regular cookies. It's 5 to 6 cookies that you eat throughout the day with a glass of water, and they're full of protein and fiber, and they're low in sugar. So it's everything that your body needs to be healthy without all of the other junk. And if you're not a fan of cookies, I don't know how that could be, but some people aren't. They also have delicious soups and shakes. So this is a very effective diet to help you lose weight if you have been struggling and nothing is budging, and you're looking for something new and safe and actually healthy to do that. So head over to smartforlife.com and check out their program today.
And you have to be really creative. As much as there's not so much you can do about your face, there are a few tips, but it's also a global view of yourself that people see, and sometimes really focus on tiny things. When you were a teenager, you would focus on your pimple when no one would really see it. And I think seeing yourself as a global silhouette also changes the way you're gonna put makeup on, dress up, and choose the accessories, like a scarf or a bag or shoes that will really put your allure, and will make you feel really elegant or self-confident, most importantly.
Yeah, and I think that's really the message that I get from the book. It's funny, but it's also empowering to, make the best of what you have, and to love everything that you've experienced in life, all of the lovers, all of, the adventures, when you want to become a mother, all of these things. It's like, it's really, I go back to the word feminism, because that's really what comes across. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a book on aging, but it's really about taking control of how you see yourself and how you want to live in the world. Like, that is powerful.
I think that's the secret. If you let the others decide who you are, I think you will lose eventually. And the more powerful, the more confidence you give to yourself. I think we're all very fragile and very, we can be strong, but we can be weak. We have a lot of doubts, and as much as I think we're all in the same place, the power you give yourself will shine on the rest of the people around you, and the choices that you make for yourself. The way you surround yourself, the people you surround yourself with, it's something really, really key. We talked about how at a certain age you should really, if you still have toxic people in your life, then it's not because of them. It's you have to decide what you want for yourself. And so we try to be feminism. I really take it as a compliment. So thank you for saying it. We are absolutely feminist. There are many more struggles to make in terms of having equal salaries, in the way, for instance, in France, I don't know how it is in America, about paternal leave, how everything can shift in the way women are at house, and how the men can support. I have a partner that is really supportive, but it's something that I've discussed with my friend, and especially in quarantine, is like there was a survey of how I think 95% of the men said that they were doing 50% of the chores, and how 15% of the women said that their husband was doing 50% of the chores. So it's as much as we are completely supporting the men and supporting any initiative to kind of share the mental load. I think there's still progress to be done in that sense, and especially when you work, especially when you have a career, when you have kids. It's a lot to juggle with. So we are trying to be feminist, and especially also in the professional world. It's there's many things to do. But as you said, feminist is also being good to yourself and giving you the place that you deserve, and making choices that are empowering. In every places, in all the places in your life, I think, with your family, with your friends, with your work, with your partner, with your kids. I think it's very, very important.
Yeah. It is in a sense honoring yourself and honoring your best self, and doing the things that are going to lift you up rather than bring you down. Oh, I love it. Yeah. But going back to the work part, in addition to being an author, you're also a film producer, and you worked on one of my very favorite films, Call Me by Your Name. Can you talk a little bit about that experience, just because I'm dying to know?
It was amazing experience. Luca Guadagnino, the director, is a genius. He can film anything, and it's a work of art. What I loved about the film, on top of the process and how it really echoed in people's hearts, is I think it's a true lesson of love. I think paternal love. I think the ending monologue is one of the most incredible scenes I've seen in cinema recently, about a father who loves his son unconditionally. And really, also what I keep from the movie is also that it could have been labeled as a queer film, or what it is for two men to be in love with one another. And for me, it's really a film about love. Period. It's about what it is to experience first love, and what it is to lose the first love. And I think most of us have experienced that. There's never again a new loss of first love. There's only one time that it happens, and you're heartbroken in a way that is very, you're usually young, and it's like the end of the world. And I think that's what really, really is amazing in this film. It's like what happens when you lose your first love, and he could really touch this essence, and that's what the magic of movie making.
Yeah. Did you know that it was going to be as big as it was when you first signed on?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's what's great and hard in cinema is that sometimes it happens great, like Call Me by Your Name, and sometimes you feel like it's unique and nobody responds, and you're like, oh, I've worked 5 years of my life on this, and 1 week in the theaters, and no one sees it, and it can also be heartbreaking. But yeah, but there are some great examples like Call Me by Your Name. Nobody could have, I mean, as talented as Luca was, it was an Italian film with, Armie Hammer was famous, but not like he became. And also, especially like Timothée Chalamet was discovered, and it rarely happens when the DiCaprio or Brad Pitt, there's like the first film where they're really identified and they can really break out as a star. It's really something. So it could never have happened like that without the discovery of Timothée.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. So we've I don't want to give too much away about the book, so I'll leave the audience to go buy it for themselves. If there was one takeaway that you would want to leave with our audience about the beauty and reality of aging, about art, about life, about love, what would that be?
There are many, and we try to put them in the book. So I'm sure your audience can find some answers in the book. But I think the most important one for me, and it's something that I've really discussed with Caroline, is there's something about regrets. I think we all have regrets of, when you go back on your teenage years or your 20s and you feel like, oh, I should have done this, or I wish I had traveled more, or I wish I had done another, something else at school. And we spoke a lot about this because we were kind of arriving at the conclusion of, okay, what have I learned in the past 20 years or 15 years? And there's something about you should never regret what has not happened, because if it didn't happen, there's a reason. You were not meant for that. And we have a lot of friends who say like, oh, I wish. Like, okay, you wish, but you didn't have this, oh, I had so many lovers when I was 18 and I tried so many things. You're just not that person. And I think aging is about knowing yourself, knowing your neuroses so you can deal with them better. You're not perfect. So how we're dealing with ourselves in the present time, and I think we will learn until we're 80 years old. So my biggest realization, and Caroline as well, is don't look back saying like, oh, I should have. It happened like that. It happened for a reason. You met the people you were supposed to meet, and you had great adventures. And it doesn't mean also that it would have been better. It could have been worse, because if it didn't happen, there was a reason for it. So it's something we really discuss, because we all have regrets, and also, instead of turning back, we should focus on now and on the future. And it's also a big lesson of as you're teenage, you want to be older. You're in your 20s, you want to have a job and you want to leave the parents' house, and then you want to have kids or you want to get married. And we're like, okay, now we're 40 years old. Maybe it's time to stop projecting, because we're always in the next step. We're always craving for something. And maybe we're like, oh, time flies. It's fast. So why don't we try to be really in the present time? Because, we're always missing something. There's never like the perfect situation of, oh, I'm crossing all the things of the kids, the career, the friends, the health. There's always something that is not really, where you want to be. But instead of, oh, the next step, breathe, be happy with what you have. And I think it's really also one lesson of getting older is just, okay, now we can maybe take our time and enjoy what we have, So wow. I hope it can be a good advice from a Parisian.
No, that was beautiful. I mean, that was just perfectly said, and a perfect summation, I think, of this interview and the book and just life in general. So thank you for sharing that. It's so beautiful.
Of course.
So Sophie, where can our audience find the book, find you online? Tell us all the things.
So we have an Instagram. I think it's called, we started as How to Be Parisian, but we just added Older But Better But Older. It's really easy to find us on Instagram. And then anywhere, I mean, you can order the book online on Amazon and all the online libraries. And please support independent libraries because they need it now, especially after quarantine or during quarantine for the countries that remain in quarantine, and in all the good bookstores and but if you don't have bookstores near you or if they're closed, you can find us really easily online.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your light and your wisdom and putting this work out into the world. It is so needed. So thank you.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the Motherhood Unstressed podcast, and I'm your host, Liz Carlisle. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you love this episode, please share it out on your social media, Instagram stories, and tag us at Motherhood Unstressed so we can share it back out and keep the conversation going on these important topics. Also, make sure that you subscribe so that you never miss out on an interview with an amazing guest or our weekly guided meditations every Wednesday. This episode is sponsored by Motherhood Unstressed CBD. This is my line of organic, USA-grown hemp that was specifically designed to help you, the listener, battle stress and anxiety naturally. And what CBD does is it helps your body's own endocannabinoid system function better. So you're sleeping better, you're experiencing less stress and anxiety, and you're able to get everything done with an overall feeling of security, of groundedness, of calm. So if you would like that in your life, head on over to motherhoodunstressed.com, click the shop tab, and use the code podcast to save.